morning to anyone who is joining me this morning. My name is Kat Aquaviva. I'll be teaching prenatal yoga. We'll start in just a couple of minutes. Gather whatever props you have at hand and give it a few. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today for a prenatal yoga class. My name is Kat Aquaviva. I too am pregnant right now. I'm 15 weeks pregnant. My due date has changed a couple of times, so I feel like I've been in this 14-week zone, 15 week zone for a couple of weeks now. But here I am. I'm really missing the portion of teaching prenatal yoga where we just kind of commune and talk to each other as one sangha, as one community. I can learn so much from the students who come to my class about pregnancy-related issues in the body, and it really creates this sense of camaraderie and connection. So I'm sincerely missing that. Please feel free to reach out at any point so that we can still create that sense of community if you also feel like you're lacking it. But in the lack of that real life in-person conversation, I want you to just remain connected to your own experience and take time to really be intuitive and listen well to what's going on in your own body. I won't be able to make all the suggestions in the world to specific issues that are going on in your own body, but I'll do my best to just share information as I'm teaching. So we'll just do an all-around, well-rounded prenatal class today that will cover lots of areas of the body that might be experiencing pain, but nothing too specific today, just a feel-good prenatal class, okay? So I'm going to be changing my facing quite a bit so that you can see me in the best way if you need a visual reference. So first of all, if you have blocks, they'll be really helpful for this practice. Also a bolster or a couch cushion or a pillow or something that would mimic a bolster would be really helpful. Okay, and we'll start seated with the hands behind us on the floor. And you're just gonna slip your feet as far forward as you need to, given the size of your belly. Sometimes you really need a lot of space. And you'll cross your right ankle over your left knee. And then you're going to determine how close you'd like your left heel to your left butt. Obviously, the tighter the stance, the more upright you are, and the closer your foot is to your left sitting bone, the deeper the sensation of your stretch will be. But, you know, deeper is not always better. And then just let your legs gently rock from right to left so that you're kind of lubricating your hip joints as that ball of your femur head moves around in the socket of your joint. And then actually you're going to let your legs tip over to the right side. And as you do that, you can uncross your ankle from the knee. And you'll be primarily on your right outer hip. You're just going to reach behind you and you'll prop up onto your left hand. Now my block is just conveniently situated there, so I'm using it to show you an option how your block can be placed underneath the hand, especially if your belly needs some space. But if you'd like, you're also welcome to inch your right hand further forward and take your left fingertips towards the floor and reach, reach, reach. Now, you should be feeling this beautiful sensation and stretch through your whole left outer back. And I specifically feel it through my left shoulder girdle and through the armpit, the outer armpit area. Everybody is different. So wherever you're feeling it is perfect. Big, big breaths into sensation. And just one more here. Try to relax your right shoulder and neck. And then walk your hands back until you're seated upright. And you'll return into that figure 4 shape once again. And just tighten it up a little bit and press your heart up now. A little more exaggerated, like you're trying to shine some sunlight on the top of your chest. And then your left foot will heel toe towards the right, and you'll set up a seated cross-legged pose called Sukhasana. I'm just going to face forward. Right shin will be in front of the left. It's very similar to ankle to knee, but less intense. And then you can kind of lift your butt up and make sure that your pubic bone is dropping forward and down and that your tailbone is releasing back. And then take your arms out in front of you, interlock your fingers and reach all the way up to the ceiling. And then just a little side stretch to the right and a little bit to the left, just kind of moving around in an intuitive way. And make sure you're inflating your back ribs, smoothing your front ribs down. And you'll take a side stretch now, placing your right hand down, left arm extending way up and over your head. Just a simple side stretch. Feels so good on all bodies. And feel free to kind of, turn your head in a way that makes sense or angle your body in a way that makes sense and really satiates your needs. And your top hand will come down to the floor. Slip your right hand behind you and take a twist just in the top third of your spine. So my first pregnancy, I really realized the value of twist to help the back stay out of pain. I always always thought twists were less important before I experienced pregnancy. So the rule of thumb is that you want your belly to face forward, and you're twisting from your bra strap and up. So it's really just isolated to the upper thoracic. And then turn to face forward. Take your arms out to the sides, and then cross your right arm over the left and crawl your fingertips around your shoulder blades in the back of the body. And then push your elbows forward to spread your upper back. It's like you're inflating your upper back. And then just take deep breaths into the space between your shoulder blades so that you're really creating space with your breath. Take your arms up and you'll eagle wrap the arms, keeping the crisscross of upper arms. And then you're going to do what feels good. I would suggest circling the forearms in both directions, though you might want to cat and cow your spine while moving your elbows up and down. So you're just kind of moving around in a way that lubricates the shoulder girdle primarily. And then come on upright. Take your arms out to the sides, open them super wide, and then just squeeze your hands together behind the back and see if you can interlock your fingers. You can slide your thumbs down your sacrum so your knuckles push into the floor, and then rebound your chest up. Keep that micro bend in your elbows and keep squeezing your upper arm bones in. And then take your hands to your knees and round your spine, rocking your pelvis back. And then you'll start to move from as low as you can in your pelvis. So I'm not initiating this circling with my rib cage, I'm doing it from the pelvis. And you'll start to transfer, it's like you're spiraling, it's like you're walking up a spiral staircase, okay? So that circular energy is gonna start to move through your rib cage now. And you'll get a little more fluid in your shoulders and through the chest and the upper back. And then finally, if you want to let your head kind of circle around as well as you're rocking from sitting bone towards tailbone, towards sitting bone, towards pubis. And then we're going to move in the other direction. And we'll go down the spiral staircase. So your skull can be involved. And then it gets a little quieter as your rib cage is primarily circling. And then it gets quieter still as just your pelvis circles around. That's it. Come to center. Take your hands behind you onto the floor, and you can turn your hands out or you can turn your hands forward, whatever feels best for your shoulders. Scoop your knees up, feet on the floor, hook your tailbone under, and just elevate your hips briefly. This is so challenging once you have a big load of a baby and fluid in the middle of your abdomen, but do your best to lift your hips, hook your tailbone forward, and then lower your butt back down. Okay, your hands can stay behind you, cross your left ankle over your right knee, and then just give it a sec as you're acclimating to this stretch. You can start to shift left and right. And I'm really noticing how much tighter my left hip is than my right. We all have one side that we favor, one side that through injury or history that is tighter than the other. Good to be conscious of that. Now, tip your legs to the left, uncross left ankle from the right, turn to face the back of your mat or whatever direction you're facing, really. You're situated on your left forearm and you're reaching your right arm long. Whether or not your hand is on a block is up to you. And then see if you can slightly round your spine, like you're pulling your chest into yourself so that you stretch out that right side of your back even more so. It's like you're inflating your back up towards the ceiling. Reach, reach, reach your right hand. Relax your jaw. You're always welcome to flutter your lips or open your mouth super wide, stick your tongue out. It's okay to be weird. You're at home. Nobody's looking at you. And then come on back upright. Cross your ankle over your knee once again, taking that figure 4 shape. And then tighten it up to any degree so that you really feel a more acute opening of the outer left hip, the external rotators. And then heel toe right foot to the left. Crisscross your shins and face yourself forward. Beautiful seat with your pubic bone tipping forward and down. Reach your arms out in front of you and take your hands up and above the head. This is called Baddha-Anguliasana, this interlocking of the hands. Little side bends in either direction, or maybe it's a little bit of a circling. You know, I'm suggesting what feels good, and then you're using it in a way that feels best for you. Take your left hand down to the floor, right arm reaches up and over your head. Oh, that feels so nice. And you're just moving into sensation. So breathe into areas of tightness. And you can linger in any one spot that needs a little extra attention. Your top arm circles down right into the middle of your shins. Slip your left hand behind you. Rise up through your chest. Spin your belly forward and rotate your collarbones, the face of the shoulders to the left. You're looking over your left shoulder towards the back. And you're just taking lovely breaths, acclimating in this twist. You're welcome to always take your right hand, or in this side, take your right hand to the left belly. Wrap the belly forward as you twist your upper rib cage. And then float your arms up, turn to face forward. Left arm crosses over the right arm, and you curl your fingertips far behind yourself. So it's really like you're inching the fingers further and further and further back, and then you pull your shoulder blades apart as your elbows really start to move away from your chest and poke forward, okay? Breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. And then release your arms up into this eagle-wrapped shape. And again, you can be circling your arms. You can be cat and cowing. Really nice to coordinate the breath in a cat and cow. So breathe in is your back bend and your elbows lifting. And exhale as your elbows nestling down towards the sternum. One more cycle of breath wherever you're at. Make sure you switch the direction of your circling if you're doing that. Come on upright. Take your arms out super wide just to open the chest. Palms squeeze in and together behind you. And then see if you can interlock your fingers. Left thumb on top. Keep that bend in your elbows and slide your thumbs down your sacrum. If you can reach the floor with your fingers or your knuckles, use it as like a launch pad to send your chest up. And then reach for your knees and round your spine. Let's go to the left. Circling your pelvis. We won't take quite as long. Circling the rib cage. Letting your skull get involved. Pause. Circle the skull to the right, the rib cage and the pelvis. The biggest, loosest, juiciest. And then just the rib cage. And then just the pelvis, really small. Good. Take your hands behind you onto the floor. Fingers out or fingers forward. You pick. It's brief. Hook your tail forward, lift your hips up, slide your chest up higher, higher, higher. Inwardly spin your thighs, and then lower your butt to the ground. Cross your ankles so that you're just in a comfortable meditative seat. If you want to sit up on something, bolster, blanket, block, it's perfect. Take one hand to your heart, one hand to your baby. We know that this practice is one where we really deepen our connection and relationship with ourselves. And I'm talking about this self with a capital S. But this is also time to be conscious of the presence of your baby. If you're like me and you're earlier in your pregnancy and you still can't feel movements yet, it takes a little more intention to be present to their energy. So know that the best way that you can take care of your baby right now is by taking care of yourself. So take your hands into a prayer at your heart together. Let's breathe in. Out the mouth, clear it out. Super slow inhale. Bow your heart, bow your head, lift your heart. Release your hands and raise your chin upright as you blink your eyes open. Okay, let's come on to hands and knees. Gradually making our way to a vertical position, but while you're here on hands and knees, flip your right wrist forward and your fingertips back. Bend your right elbow as much as is available to you, and then circle around this wrist joint. Now, if this feels really intense, if you're dealing with carpal tunnel syndrome, or if you're having any edema in your wrist, you're always welcome to turn the hand out to the side and bend the elbow. You'll still get a little bit of a forearm stretch. Make sure you've circled in the opposite direction, and then you'll flip the hand forward and take the other side. Again, bending your elbow is a necessary component to really get into the meat of the forearm. We all hold phones too frequently. Most of us are driving to some degree throughout the day, and this is really good to reverse those actions, those holding actions. Okay, turn the hands forward. I want you to take your toes together, your knees apart. Just pull the heels of the hands back towards your knees and open your chest. Now, it's not a huge back bend through your low back. It's all primarily in the upper chest. As you exhale, hook your tail under around your back, and as your butt moves to the heels, prop up to your fingertips. Do this again. Breathe in, ground the palms, pull the chest forward. We call it flowing cat-cow. Dome your back and shift your booty back to your heels, propping up to fingertips when you can. Come forward again. Inhale, arching the back just enough, the top of the chest. Exhale, round your spine and shift your butt back. Inhale, come to neutral. Narrow your knees. Extend your left heel back just so that you can stretch out your calf before we take a downward facing dog. I like to pull my pubic bone up so I'm not going into this major arch in the low back. I'm hugging my baby towards my spine, and I'm just switching sides. Super simple. My calves get super tight. Many of you might be feeling calf cramps throughout your pregnancy. Stretch your calves a lot, even before bed. Tuck your toes. Take a downward facing dog, lifting your hips. There's also this stuff that's called Calm, which is just like a supplement you can add to any drink. It's calcium, magnesium, potassium, and it's apparently like the miracle savior if you get lots of muscle cramps. Okay, take your feet wide as the mat, and then I want you to actually grip onto your mat with your hands. So your hands are going to be tugging on the mat outward. Bend your knees a little and then push your chest back towards your thighs. So you're really getting this back bending version of a downward facing dog. Big stretch for my calves. It feels like a nerve stretch. Big opening for the armpits and the shoulder girdle and the chest. And then shift your heart forward enough that you can take your hands safely back on your mat. Shoulder width distance. Take your feet hips width distance or slightly wider if you're further into your pregnancy. And then come forward, knees on the ground. Arch your back looking up. Exhale, shift your butt up and back. One more time. Inhale the knees forward to the ground. Arch the back, cow spine. Exhale, shift your butt back, downward facing dog. Take a big breath in here. Some of you will need to put the knees down. I'll show you how to transition if you're further into your pregnancy than me. If you're able to step your right foot forward without blocks, do it, okay? Otherwise, put your hands on blocks, step your right foot forward. Now, you're gonna tip your blocks up to the tallest facet, put them outside of your hips. Tuck your back toes and just come upright. Take your hands onto your pelvis and try to remove that forward spill of your belly. Pull your belly up by elongating the tailbone down. Pull the left heel back and drag pull your right heel back, drag your left kneecap forward. Interlock your fingers in front of you, reach the arms up and over your head. Big breath in. And as you exhale, a little side bend over towards the right, just as you did seated. And then you'll release your right fingertips down onto the block that's right outside of your hip. And focus on opening the left side body while you're creating structure in the legs. Scissor the legs, pull up through the front of the pelvis. Take your top arm and circle it down to the floor. Now your right foot will widen and turn out. Back knee will elevate, and your right hand can be on the thigh as you twist your chest and your belly towards the right. So there should be enough space. There's really quite a bit of distance between the chest and the thigh. You could reach up to the ceiling as well, okay? Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, your top arm reaches over your head and comes down to the floor. Turn your right foot in, straighten both of your legs, reaching for your blocks, and you're in this modified pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. Let's undulate the spine. Inhale, roll up through your back, elongate the front body. Exhale, release down through the front. And do this again. Inhale, rolling up through your back. The last moment, it feels like a back bend. Exhale, release the chest down. Stay here for one big breath in. Belly sliding inside of right thigh. Exhale, breathe out. Inhale, come on upright through your chest. Keep your hands here and just turn your feet to the left side of the mat. Now, bring more weight into your left leg. Pull your left outer hip crease back. And if there was a wall behind you, you'd want to connect your left sitting bone to that wall. Gives you this lovely stretch through the left side. And then take your blocks with you. Walk your torso forward. I like to tip my blocks to the medium facet. And you're taking this hybrid pose. It's kind of like a Prasarita Padottanasana with a down dog spine. Unlock your knees and shift weight out of your heels so you're really bearing more weight in the balls of the feet. Take a big inhale to the sides of the waist. Lift your front body up slightly. And breathe out. Take your hands underneath the chest, blocks underneath the chest, and then you'll just bend your left knee so you get a stretch in the right inner seam of the leg. Straighten your left leg, bend your right knee. Feels quite nice to work on the inner leg. Straighten both legs, and then you'll turn to face forward, taking your blocks with you. Bend your front knee, put your back knee down to the ground. Both feet step back and you take a downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward into a plank pose and put your knees down right away if you're further along in your pregnancy. If you're closer to first or very early second trimester, it's fine to hold your plank if you've had previous experience in your yoga. And then put your knees very far back down to the ground. Hook your tailbone towards your heels and just bend your elbows. And then straighten your arms. We're going to do this one more time. Inhale to bend. Exhale to straighten. Shift your butt back. Lift your hips up to your downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths and push the floor away from you. Turn your armpits in towards your face. And you'll either be stepping your left foot forward to your left thumb, or you're putting both knees down first and grabbing your blocks, and then stepping your left foot forward. Keep your back toes tucked. Scissor the legs and then situate your blocks outside of your hips. Interlock your fingers, reach your arms forward and up.
And take a gentle side stretch over to the left. Now, it's going to be really hard to maintain a side stretch if you're not working the isometrics in your legs while you're in this asymmetrical lean. And then take your left fingertips down onto the block. Right arm reaches up and over. And you'll circle your top arm down to the floor. Let your left foot widen and turn out. Back knee lifts. Push left hand into the thigh to help you rotate your whole belly, chest to face left. Left arm can reach up to the ceiling if that feels good. And this is quite nice to open the front body because it feels like both a hip opener, a twist, and a back bend. Top arm circles over your head, long left edge. Take a hand to the floor, neutralize your left foot, and then straighten your front leg. Both legs straight, really. Blocks under hands feel quite nice. As you breathe in, elongate the spine, pull your left hip crease back. Exhale and fold. And do this again, breathe in, rolling up through the back. Exhale, fold. One more time, inhale, back body lifting up. Front body releasing forward. Breathe in, raise your chest upright. Tip your blocks up higher if you have blocks. Turn your feet to the right. And then pull your right outer hip crease back. Walk your blocks further forward so that you get a big stretch through your right side. And then move your right butt into an imaginary wall behind you. One big breath in. Exhale, take your blocks with you and walk your blocks forward on the diagonal as you stand between your two legs. I forgot to make space for myself for this pose right here. So you do you, I'll do me. And then you'll slip your blocks underneath your chest, elevate the heart. Let's bend to the back knee. That's the right knee on this side, keeping the chest elevated. Straighten both legs. Now you're welcome to bend your left knee as much as feels appropriate, as long as it's staying aligned over your left ankle. Straighten your left. Now, you'll turn to face forward, walking your blocks forward. You're in a lunge, and then you'll step back to your dog pose, whether you need to put your knee down, step both knees down, and then lift them up, or just step your left leg back into your dog pose. Inhale, roll forward into a plank. You can hold for a moment or two if you're, if you're informed in this practice, you've had experience, and you're early in pregnancy. Otherwise, put your knees down. You'll inhale to bend your elbows. Exhale, push the arms straight. One more time. Inhale to bend. Exhale to straighten. This time, extended child's pose. Widen your knees. You might need to put your forearms down on the ground if your belly needs more space. But with your blocks still on the outer edges of your mat, we'll take a side stretch to the right. So you're welcome to slip your left hand on top of the block on the right side. And then we'll take the left side, walk your forearms or your fingertips over to the right, over to the left. And then you'll stack your right hand on the block that's on the left side. Come back to the center, tuck your toes, lift your hips up to a dog pose, and then you'll gradually, slowly walk your feet forward to the top of the mat. You can grab your blocks whenever it's needed to create extra length in the arms. Separate your feet always as wide as the hips are wider. As you breathe in, extend your chest forward, look forward. Exhale and fold. And as you breathe in, you can either roll up while walking your hands up your thighs, or you can arch your back and stand up through a more active spine. Reach the arms to the ceiling, everyone. And then pull your hands to the heart. Let's take one more side stretch. So as you inhale, reach the arms up. Grab your left wrist and side bend over to the right. Inhale, come upright, switch the grip of your wrist. Side bend in the other direction. Inhale, come upright, turn your palms to face in. And as you exhale, soften your knees. You can take your hands through a prayer and fold into your legs. Always put your hands on your thighs if you need more support before folding all the way down. Just half sun salutations. Inhale, extend your spine forward. Exhale, fold to your legs. Breathe in, stand all the way up. Reach the arms up to the ceiling, look up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And we'll do this again. Inhale, reach all the way to the ceiling, gaze up. Exhale, hands to the midline, fold down into your legs. Breathe in, Ardha Uttanasana, either coming to fingertips or hands pushing to shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand up, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to the heart. Last time with this, inhale, reach all the way up, look at your thumbnails. Exhale, fold into your legs, unlock your knees. Inhale, the spine extends, the heart is offered forward. Exhale, fold. Stand up, arms reach up to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's sit to chair pose, Utkatasana, arms sweeping up. And we're gonna hold this chair pose for a little bit. Your hands can come to the heart, or you can keep them extended alongside the ears. Now, draw your baby back towards your spine, lift your pubic bone up slightly, and come down a little bit lower. Shift your weight back into your heels. So, no one wants to hold a chair pose for a long time, but you'll need a lot of strength in your quads and your glutes, these big muscle groups, your hamstrings, as you're going into labor. They'll support you, and you'll be grateful that you did lots of squats and strengthening and stabilizing for the pelvis. You can take one more breath in, and then fold down into your legs. Take your feet a little bit wider, soften your knees, and you can just do a gentle sway side to side. It's like this lovely action for the nervous system to now deal with that new sensation versus that held chair pose. And then inhale, lift your heart, take your feet slightly closer together. Tip your blocks up higher, and we're just gonna step the left leg back, setting up for crescent pose. These are the only other standing poses we're gonna do today. So really not a ton of standing pose work. Okay, so come on upright. It's related to our Anjaneyasana. We will not be side bending in this pose. So just embody this back bend and get comfortable with the discomfort that arises when we challenge these big muscle groups to hold in a static shape, okay? So keep lifting your baby up, keep hugging your baby back towards your spine, and extending through the back heel. Now you're always welcome to bend the knee, especially if you have instability in your SI joints or asymmetric pelvic pain. Take one more breath. And then transition into a warrior two, opening wide. Front leg straighten so we can release the quads. Take a reverse triangle. Lift your right pelvic half up. And then a triangle pose, which will feel quite nice to be in the straight leg pose after a bent knee, warrior two. You can internally rotate your arm and take a half bind if you'd like to open your left chest. The only thing I ask is that everyone works the tailbone towards the back heel, and that you hug your baby up towards your face a little bit higher, so that you're really creating space in your lumbar spine and not losing integrity through the abdomen. Look down to the floor, left arm reaches up, and you'll push through your front foot to rise up. Turn your feet in, arms reach up. You can narrow your feet if you need. Circle your arms behind your back, interlock your fingers. Stretch your arms long, lift your heart. Fold in half, arcing the arms forward. And open the chest, open the shoulders, open the backs of the legs. Just one big breath in here. And breathe out. Chest, fingertips to the floor under your chest. Lift your heart up. Turn your feet out and let's take a skandasana, which is like we're stepping up that Prasarita-Padottanasana that we did earlier with one leg bent. You'll feel it a little more on the inner seam of the leg. And then straighten both legs, turn your feet in, and then turn to face forward into a lunge. Use your hands on your blocks and step forward. Inhale, elongate the spine. Fold into your legs. Inhale, elongate the spine forward, hands to your blocks. And step your right foot back, sorry. Left and right is really challenging for me today. Bend your front knee forward, and then come on up into your crescent pose. So the trickiest part of this pose is really working to square the hips while you're here in this shape. So you'll be lifting up through the front of the pelvis, drawing your tailbone down, and sliding your left inner thigh back towards the groins as your right hip faces forward. Arms reach up, embody this back bend with grace as your right inner heel reaches back gradually. Take a big inhale and a big exhale. We've got just one more here. Inhale. Open up to your warrior two on the left side. Front leg straightens. Lean back, reverse your triangle. Triangle pose. I always suggest using some support underneath the left hand. If you don't have support, put your hand on your shin. Now, sometimes this encourages us to lock the front knee, so it's important that you're pressurizing the shin back into the hand, if that's the variation you're taking. Internally rotate your top arm if you did so first round, and take your half bind as a way to open the chest. And then fill in your low back by hooking your tailbone towards your right heel. Rotate the heart, lean back. And deep breaths. One more. Reach the arm up to the ceiling, look down to the floor. Push through your front foot, rise up. Arms reach over your head. I'm going to spin to face you. Arms reach over your head. Circle the arms back behind you and interlock your fingers. Breathe in, stretch your chest, open the heart, and then fold yourself down into your legs. Slide your shoulders onto your back. One more breath here. Fingertips underneath your chest. Elongate the spine forward. Turn your feet out, and your right knee bends on this side. Flex your left foot. And even if your heel is off of the floor, keep the chest open. And then you'll turn to face forward once again so that you're in a lunge. And then step back into your downward facing dog. Good. Take one more big breath in. Exhale, put the knees on the ground. Shift your butt back to your heels. Take your blocks with you. Shift your hips to the side and your legs forward. And I want you to set up a bridge pose that's supported by blocks. So roll onto one hip, use your hands to recline down, and then roll onto your back. Okay. Oh, I forgot one thing I wanted to do before this. We'll get it afterwards. Okay? So, put your feet flat on the floor. Pressurize your feet into the ground and elevate your hips. Now, you're going to stack one or two blocks underneath your pelvis or several firm couch cushions or something like that underneath your pelvis, or many stacked blankets or towels. These kinds of things work. You don't have to be at the top of your back bend, okay? It's not what's important here. I want you to just extend your arms and turn your palms to face up. So we're taking this nice
supported, restorative back bend. We're just gonna open the front of the hip flexors and the quads. So first, take your hands onto your pelvis and just do your best to keep the two sides even. Flex your right foot and extend the heel forward until the leg is straight-ish. Now, you do not have to straighten the leg all the way. What I do want you to do is hook your tailbone forward. And when you do so, that usually creates material change in what you're feeling through the right set of hip flexors. For me, it becomes so much more effective when I elongate the tail towards the front of the mat. Now this next one is going to work for most of you, but not everyone, just based on how high your pelvis is, how tight your feet are, if you get foot cramps. So know that you can come back to this original shape. But if you'd like, what you can do is bend your right knee, catch the shoelace side of your foot, and pull the shoelace side of your foot down to the floor like a half virasana. This is what the right leg looks like. My toes are tucked back. In fact, I'll just do it on the left side so I could show you the organization, just like this, okay? So again, I'm elongating my tail towards the front edge of my mat. And then slide the foot forward until you can place it flat on the ground. Legs are both neutral now, side by side, knees bent. Flex your left foot, slide your heel forward until your leg is mostly straight, and then really hook your tailbone under, pull your pubic bone and your front hip points up towards your face. Now, if ever this feels like too big a stretch for the front of your body, you just come down lower on your blocks, or your cushions, or your towels. Okay, bend your left knee. If you're taking that second shape, you'll catch the shoelace side of your foot and tuck your toes back, so you're mimicking a half virasana. So this end portion of our class is just going to be really stretch related, less strengthening. And I want you to have really relaxed, calm breath so that you're unraveling stress in the body. Slip the left foot forward, put it flat on the ground. I want you to push your feet down, lift your hips up, and remove your block if you had to, and come down onto one low level block. So you're really quite low, okay? And then we're going to do a thing to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system by way of the vagus nerve. So all you'll do is take an inhale. At the top of your inhale, swallow, and exhale and let it go. We'll do this again. Breathe in. Top of inhale, swallow. Exhale. Keep doing this. Breathing in. Swallow. Breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. Swallow. Breathe out. Okay, let that go. Push your feet down, lift your hips, remove your block, and land your pelvis on the ground. Okay. Roll to your left side, use your hands, and come back upright.
So I want to do a pec stretch. That's the thing I forgot earlier. So let me face you for this, but you can stay situated on your mat. So you'll take yourself onto your right outer hip, and we're going to stretch the right pec this first round. So your chest will come towards the floor, but your belly is still pointing to the left. Right arm will reach directly out to the right, and you're welcome to put a block underneath your head or lay it on the floor.
Now what's important is that you don't turn your shoulder in and down, but that you slide it away from the ground like you're trying to slip your shoulder onto your back. Left hand is underneath your chest for support. Feels so nice to open the pecs in the base of the shoulder and the inner arm. And then you'll come out of this, pushing both hands down, sliding your hand into your chest. We'll take the other side, so slip onto your left outer hip. This is really the last back bend or front body opener that we'll do. Right hand slips out in front of you, so your left hand can go wide. Lay yourself down on your chest, and you can lay your left ear to the ground. Now again, make sure your shoulder isn't collapsing to the floor, but that it's sliding down and onto the back. You can turn your chest to the right as much as feels good. One more breath. Push both hands down to rise back up. Okay. So, let's take the legs actually let's do a pigeon pose. We all need a pigeon pose. If you have asymmetric pain in your hips, take a figure 4 with your shins stacked and your feet flexed. Symmetry is better for people with asymmetric pelvic pain. But otherwise, take your bolster or blanket or cushion across your mat. Kneel on your bolster to start. Hands on your blocks. Take your whole right shin forward. And then just fold yourself forward, either putting your forearms on blocks or bringing your forearms to the ground, whatever works best for you. And then what's important is that you can take a load off of the neck, so feel free to rest your forehead in the heels of the hands. Walk your hands back, lift your torso upright. You'll come onto your hands and your knees. And what I suggest is taking any kind of, cyclical movement just so that you can unlock any issues in the pelvis. You'll have to forgive me for my slightly lower energy. I've been dealing with a lot of nausea at this point in my pregnancy, and I'm dealing with some now. So we'll take the second side. I'm not going to be talking a lot, but you want your left thigh to go wider than the left rib cage. Right leg extends back. Lay your chest down so you have some support in the forearms. And feel free again to support your head so that your neck doesn't have to be tense. Use your hands, come on back upright. Come onto your hands and knees once again. And then just kind of move around just to work out asymmetry in the body. Okay. Let's have a seat. And
do one more seated forward fold before we take a restorative pose, okay? So a seated forward fold with the legs in a symmetrical shape. Some of you might want the legs a little bit closer together if you're further towards the beginning of your pregnancy. But as your belly gets bigger, you're just gonna need more and more space. So you're welcome to open the legs to a distance that feels good for you. If you're craving a wider straddle, you can take a wider straddle because you're not negotiating space with any other yogis. So feel free to spread the legs if that's what your body is asking for. Or if you need more of a back, like a hamstring opener versus an inner seam of the legs, you're welcome to have your legs closer together. No tension in the neck and in the shoulders and the jaw. This relaxed jaw is really relevant for pregnancy and for labor specifically, because what happens in your neck, your shoulders, and your jaw is mirrored in the pelvis. So the kind of sounds that you make during labor will directly affect how your cervix is able to open or tense up. So if you were making a high-pitched noise, if you're tensing in your shoulders and clenching your teeth, there's going to be this mirrored reaction in your cervix. It's studied and scientifically proven. So it's really important that during our yoga practice, we become accustomed to unraveling tension in the jaw so that it's programmed into the body for when we go into an uncomfortable, potentially painful situation in labor. Okay, come on up. Let's set up just a lovely restorative pose. I'm gonna give you two options. The first works best if you have any pressure in your chest when you lay on your back. This is a better pose for you to take. You'll create an incline like this. In any way, you might need to use, a big couch cushion with several other cushions underneath the head. You can roll up a blanket in a circular kind of way and wedge it underneath here. So you can recline. I forgot to grab a blanket for this practice, but what you can do is either take your feet wide and your knees together, especially after so much inner seam of the leg opening, or for a brief time, if you have no asymmetric pain, you can let your legs open, but not the whole pose. I would say just briefly, and then take this shape in the legs. You can also take legs up the wall. That's the alternative version, the alternative pose. So I would suggest elevating the hips in legs up the wall. So put a pillow or a bolster or a blanket underneath the pelvis once you've gotten your legs up the wall. So get yourself into a shape that feels like you can really rest in. This will be our last pose. And then just start to unravel tension in the body. Undo tension in your shoulders, your upper back. Soften the expression on your face, unclench your teeth. Let your body generally get heavier and more relaxed.
See if you could use your consciousness to relax your physical body even more. Begin to deepen your breath, inviting richer, fuller, longer breaths. Those of you in legs up the wall pose, bend your knees and let some fluid run back into your lower legs. Those of you that were in a reclined shape, roll to one side, rest in fetal position. Those of you in legs up the wall pose can also join in fetal position on your side after removing your padding. And then use your hands to come on back upright into a seated pose. Take a second and either sit with your back against the wall or sit up on some kind of padding so that you have the support to elevate your posture with grace. Close your eyes in this seated pose. And just take a moment to really feel present to the effects of your practice. Take one hand to your heart, one hand to your baby. It's especially important at this stage in our lives that we are finding some time to really slow down so we can sit and check in with ourselves or prop the body in a beautiful restorative pose and check in. So this is a time of great transition and usually involves a certain amount of stress. So it's so important that you maintain some kind of self-care practice, and I'm proud that you are all here today to take care of yourselves in such a conscious way. So let's bring our hands into a prayer of the heart. Empty your lungs completely. Take a slow breath in. We'll chant Om. Deep gratitude for your presence and your energy and efforts. Namaste. Thank you all so much for being here today. It's an honor. I teach this prenatal class every Monday at this time, so please join me again. Take care of yourselves.